Hey, what's up? My name's Samuel Leeds. I'm a property investor, and in this video, I'm going to be revealing the 5 ways that you can drastically increase the value of a property. 5 hacks, refurbs, things that you can do that really will increase the value. Now, I've never done a video on this specific topic before. You've probably watched my YouTube vlogs, my documentaries. You've seen me out performing refurbishments, and you may have seen stuff, but I wanted to condense this into one video with the top 5 ways that I have successfully pushed the value significantly up on a property by not spending that much money as well. So if you appreciate my tips and my YouTube channel, please do me a massive favor and just hit the like button to show me that you enjoy my content, and then I'll keep producing more and more videos like this. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. When you're doing a refurb, or when you're trying to increase the value of a property, it's really important that you do it the right way. Sometimes people will do things to a property, they'll spend money, every time they spend £1, they'll be increasing the value of the property by £1. Well, it doesn't make any sense. So for example, if you get a conservatory, it can cost £35,000 to add a conservatory to a property. You might buy a house for 200 grand, spend £35,000 adding a little conservatory, and then the new value is 235. You know what we call that? We call that pointless. What's the point of spending £1 to just add a pound worth of value? What you want to do is you want to make sure that when you're spending £1, you're adding £3 worth of value. There's some people that spend £1 and they add 50 pence. There's some people that spend £1 and they lose £1. Let me give you an example. I know someone that's put water features in the garden. You know, a little pond and some water features, and he thought, oh, that'd be nice, won't it? No. In fact, when you put water features in the garden, it puts buyers off because I think, oh, that's going to be expensive to run. So you're spending money, meanwhile, you're reducing the value of the house. That's the opposite of what you want to do. So, I mean, you could just buy a house that's already in nice condition and rent it out. That's fine. And then you're going to wait for the capital appreciation, for the value of the house to organically, naturally go up in time. I wouldn't do that. I would buy a house, enjoy the rent, but force the value of the house up. Why? Because then you've made money on the buy. You've made money on the refurb. You're making money from the rent. This is a business, and you want to make as much money as you can from it. So what are some of the things that you can do? Well, for a start, when you push the value up, you can sell the house. If you buy a house for 150 grand, and then you push the value up, you spend 50 grand, but now it's worth 300 grand, you've made £100,000. You can sell the property and you can get the 100 grand. You have to pay capital gains tax on that money, or corporation tax, depending on if you bought it through a company or not. But that's one thing you can do. Or what I would recommend, and what my students do, is you push the value up and then you refinance the house. You revalue the house and you borrow against the new value, meaning that you can pay off the old mortgage and then you can take out your initial deposit. That's what you want to do. Now, what are some of the refurb hacks that you can do? So the first way is look for properties that have got a high EPC rating. EPC stands for Energy Performance Certificate. So if the Energy Performance Certificate is higher than a D, that property cannot be rented out. Now, pretty much all residential properties across the country will have an EPC certificate. How can you find out what the current EPC certificate is? Online. In fact, if you see a property advertised on Rightmove, it will tell you what the current EPC is. If it's higher than a D, that property has got an opportunity to be pushed up in value. So if you were to say bring an E, Energy Performance E, to a C, you've just increased, you've made it more energy efficient, then the value of the house is going to be pushed up. How do you do that? Well, it depends on the house. It might have a high energy performance certificate because it could be that the windows need to be double glazed and they're not. And then you're letting out heat because the windows aren't double glazed. So you just fix the windows and you've really pushed the value up. It could be that you need to insulate some of the walls. It could be a whole host of things. Another thing is the government right now are giving grants. Okay, they're giving grants to homeowners and landlords. They're giving money to increase the energy performance rating. So that's a real big opportunity. Number two, next way is you can find a property that hasn't got current running hot water. This is a massive opportunity. I love it when they say there's no hot water. Sometimes they say, oh, there's no hot water in the property. We do have to inform you. I'm like, yes. Why? Because if it hasn't got running hot water, it means that the property is unmortgageable. Lenders are going to be like, I don't want to lend on that house because there's no hot water. It's crazy, but it's true. Workman, how can you start doing a refurb on a property when there's no hot water? Because you're going to need hot water to do stuff, like have cups of teas builders, but other stuff. So if there's no hot water, this is a big problem. Fixing the hot water is very easy. Normally it's just a case of getting a new boiler, which costs about £1,500. And then what have you done? You've pushed the value of the house up. You spent £1,500, but then you've made a house that's unmortgageable, mortgageable. You've increased the value significantly. That is the second opportunity that I look for, the second way to significantly increase the value of a house. I've got three more. If you're enjoying it so far, don't forget, I hope you've hit like, I hope that blue thumb is pointing up, and I hope it's blue. Okay, number three is you can turn a residential single let property, a family home, you can change its use into a HMO, a house in multiple occupancy. How do you do this? Well, it depends on the house. Let's say you've got a 3-bedroom house with 2 reception rooms. All you need to do is you need to put fire doors, furniture, you need to register it as a HMO, rent it out on a room by room basis, and now you've changed its use. Now, the rents are going to be significantly higher. Instead of the rent maybe being £700, you're now getting maybe £1,700. What does it mean when the rents are significantly higher? It means that the value of the property is higher. Typically, a property will have 2 valuations. It will have the bricks and mortar valuation, and it will have the commercial valuation based on rent. If you can significantly increase the rent, it's going to increase the value of the property. So that is way number 3. By the way, there's other things you can do similar to this. You could, for instance, you could turn a large Victorian property, you could title split it into apartments. You take a big property, split it into apartments, and that could massively increase the value if you do it in the right area. Again, area is really, really important. I'll give you an example. There are some properties where you might get a loft conversion. Okay, if you've got a property in Doncaster in the north, you could spend £50,000 getting a loft conversion, but then only increase the value by £20,000 because there's a ceiling price on houses in that area. However, if you were to do a loft conversion in London and you were to get a loft in the house, then you might spend £50,000-60,000, but you might add £300,000 to the value, because space is so much more valuable and limited in certain areas. So that's something to really look at when you're title splitting as well. Okay, number 4. Are we on number 4? I think we are on number 4. Number 4 is if you've got a problem tenant. So if you've got a tenant in a property who's not paying rent, who's a squatter, an issue with a tenant, or if a property is just empty and it's not rentable, again, massive, massive problem. Who wants to buy a house with a problem tenant? Let me tell you a story. There was a property in Wolverhampton. It was about, the value of it was about £120,000. There was a tenant in there that wasn't paying rent, a terrible nightmare tenant, and the owner couldn't sell the house. And the agent was saying, oh, you know, the tenant's been very difficult. They're not letting viewings come in. They're not even paying rent. It was a nightmare. I bought the property for £80,000. That is a significant discount. That's like £40,000 off the price. Why? Just because there was a bad tenant in there. The owner needed the money. They were stressed out about the tenant. What did I then do? As soon as I completed, I paid the bad tenant £1,000 to disappear. I was like, look, here's £1,000 off, right? The tenant left. So I've made 40 grand because of the tenant and then given them £1,000. I mean, it's crazy. So if you know how to get rid of tenants, now you could say, but what happens if they hadn't have left? They will leave at the right price, okay? I know how to evict tenants as well. Okay, and what I did, by the way, there was completely legal, but I know how to evict tenants, I know the law, I've got a team that deal with it. Some people don't. If you've got a landlord that's got a tenant that's not paying rent and they're really stressed out, they don't know how to deal with it, you can get a really good price and then get rid of them. And then what have you done? Push the value up on the house. Number 5, which is really simple and straightforward, is if there's a property that hasn't got a nice or hasn't got any kitchen or bathroom. If there's a property that's not got a kitchen or bathroom, or it's got a really ugly kitchen and bathroom, it doesn't cost a lot to fix the kitchen or bathroom. The kitchen is the most important room in the house. If there's no kitchen, or if the kitchen's really shabby, it costs £1,500 on average to get a nice kitchen from somewhere like Howden's or Magnet. Nice kitchen. It's probably going to cost you another £1,500 to get someone to fit it. That's £3,000 for a nice, beautiful looking kitchen. Now it's not high end, but it looks nice. £3,000. If there's no kitchen or a really ugly kitchen and you spend £3,000 on getting the kitchen done, you're probably going to push the value up by 10, 15, or even more £1,000. Does that fit with the rule? Yes, it does. Spend £1, add £3 value to the property. So those are the top 5 ways that I like to add value to properties. If I've missed anything that you've succeeded in, or if you've got any other suggestions or ideas, then please comment it below in the comments. And I look forward to sharing more with you, top tips. I do a YouTube video every single day. People say, how do you do that? It's not hard because I'm out doing deals all the time, and then I just share once a day what's going on. So if you want to see more videos like this, you can check out a video right here, which I think you'll really enjoy. Also, if you want to join me at the Property Investors Crash Course, you can do that. It's free on the house, where you can learn everything I know about property condensed into a day. You can attend that for free. And also don't forget to subscribe up here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.